All right, perfect. So we'll order and start with numbers.
Oh. Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we thank you for having given us a mission. We ask that you enlighten us with that mission, to give us the courage and wisdom to understand it and to pursue it. We ask your presence with us today as we deliberate our past year, 2022, and all of our achievements, success, through your power and through your glory. We ask that you be with us and you send your Holy Spirit to enlighten us as we deliberate and discuss the plans that you have made for us in our future. Amen.
All right, moving into the meeting, we'll have, yep.
You have to establish a quorum.
Oh yeah, well first, I'm just gonna go over the agenda.
Oh, okay.
So we'll go over the normal business items. The previous annual meeting minutes we'll approve. We'll get the budget and financial report taken care of, then the vestry nominations and the annual convention delegates. First, we will establish a quorum, which we have, so we're good there. The meeting minutes from last annual meeting should be in your packet. And as usual, Cindy does a wonderful job. So are there any edits or anything that you noticed that needs to be changed from the meeting minutes from last annual meeting?
Where did you find the minutes?
Pardon?
They were handed on separate.
So, yes, they're in the packet.
Did everybody get minutes?
Everybody get them?
Yeah. That's a separate Word document.
If there's no edits, I can have a motion to approve the annual meeting minutes from the last annual meeting. Tom, for a second. And then all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstained? All right. Approve the minutes. And for our second order, we will go over the 2023 budget and the financials. If I can turn it up.
So the budget and financials are towards the end of your annual report. In a nutshell, we're all good. If you look at our income and revenues, there's actually a typo. Under total income, you'll see the 2022 actual and the 2023 budget. The 2022 actual for 141 is correct. The 2023 budget should be 144,634. So it doesn't look like there's such a discrepancy. I will say that this year, the 2023 annual campaign was the best we've ever had since our church split, I don't know, many years ago. There was a total amount pledged of $102,794 with 29 pledging units. That's a record for Grace, which is really wonderful. And the vestry has been very good stewards of that money. You'll see below that, the cash accounts, we have a very healthy balance at the San Diego County Credit Union. And then you'll see temporary restricted funds. Those are earmarked funds that are broken down on the next page. Turn the page, there's, we have a flower fund, an altar fund, formation, youth, pastoral needs. If anyone feels moved to give to any of these funds, you can just mark that on your check and Judy will apply it to those funds. We also have an operating reserve that we created a few years ago, and a small property reserve, and the remainder of the Standard Phelps Fund, which was bequeathed to us several years back. Is there any questions about income and funds and bank accounts? There will actually be a new fund created this year. As you know, Father Munoz has offered, or graciously, he's going to volunteer as our priest. He will not be paid. He's collecting his retirement. And so the agreement with the diocese is that we would set aside his annual salary on a monthly basis into a specially earmarked fund. And that will be set aside in the future when we call a new priest. We will have those funds available to us. So under staff expenses, we did give the music director and office administrator a 5% increase in salary this year.
Thank you.
Well worth it, well worth it. And under church expenses, those are pretty run-of-the-mill. Many people ask what that 15,000 mission share to the diocese is. It's our tithe to the diocese. And it's based on it's a calculation of not last year's income, but the previous year's income. And it's a little bit over and above which the vestry voted for the diocese or the bishop to use at their discretion for any of their outreach ministries. Any questions on that first page of expenditures and costs? It just makes your eyes go crossways, I understand. Let's see, we've got our basic office expenses, property and utilities. As you can imagine, if a building that's this old, the maintenance and repair is quite an expense. We've allocated a healthy portion to landscape as well to maintain the beautiful landscaping that we installed a few years back, and it's looking amazing. Of course, as you know, water and our utilities are ever increasing, so we increased the budget for that as well. There's another page. One significant increase is to the publicity budget, and you can speak to the vestry as to the specifics behind that, but that was increased to $3,000 this year. An increase in IT purchases, a new computer for Martha and for Judy, which I think those computers were like 20 years old, so, if not older. So we set aside money for that. Any questions on expenses? Okay, I think we call it's a vote to accept the 2023 budget. I'll second that. Any opposed? Thank you for being such faithful givers and for your ministry to the church. I'm not crying, I'm just wiping my hand. I'm not moved to tears by the budget. But thank you for your faithful giving and for the vestry for their faithful stewardship of the funds of the church. And thank you for your hard work. Yes. And Janice Marshall, who's not here, she's also co-treasurer, so she and I do this together each month.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, our next order of business is to do the vestry nominations. And before we do that, I do want to give a big thank you to Edna and Susan, who are leading vestry for this year. We've been a great So the way vestry nominations work, we did start kind of letting everybody know in the congregation that we had openings on vestry, accepted nominations. If we have any more on the floor, we'll happy to hear them. I have a binder to give anybody that's coming new onto Vestry so that you can have a full understanding of the expectations. We have a meeting once a month with Vestry, and then it's just getting you participate in different activities from that year. We have liaisons within different committees and ministries that serve on Vestry. So moving in, do we have any nominations for Vestry? Any?
I'd like to nominate Bobby Payette, who has been a member of Grace Episcopal on and on for 40 years. Her two daughters were baptized here. They sang in the junior choir. They were acolytes, and Bobby herself had sang in the choir for 7 years. She certainly has a commitment to Grace Episcopal.
Bobby, is all right, any other nominations? Jim?
It's my pleasure to nominate Nick Fowler for a 3-year term on the district. Nick and his family came to us just before the pandemic shut us all down. He was expecting little Penelope at the time, so early 2019, and I'm really delighted that he was willing to stand and share his perspective with us.
Wonderful. Nick, do you accept the nomination?
Yes.
All right, any other nominations? All right, wonderful. So we don't have to do a vote because it's 2 up and 2 on, so we're good there. All those in favor of Nick and Bobby joining Vestry?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? All right, wonderful. Welcome to Vestry. All right, and the last order of business we have is to approve delegates for the diocesan convention, which is usually the first weekend of November. So you need 2 delegates and 1 alternate. Anyone interested?
Where will it be this year?
Pardon?
Where will it be?
I don't know if it's in Palm. I need to check. It was in San Diego this year, so it might be in Palm Desert.
Poway, it was in Poway this year.
Poway, yeah.
Which is,
Georgia,
I love convention.
can you
I did.
Can you tell people about convention a little bit?
Convention is, it's so amazing. It's like a big party with all your friends, all your church friends that all come together. And we laugh and we cry and we tell stories and we share the workings of the Episcopal Church in San Diego. And it's so interesting to me because each church is its own little individual, just like we are, but it is so exciting to see this whole group come together and be one. Oh my God.
It is.
Cindy goes for.
And the only reason I'm going to be a vendor, so I can't be. In the last year, I was the clerk, so but I second that. If you haven't been to convention, it's usually only 1 day. They did 1 day by Zoom, and then they did 1 day in person, and it is fun. It really is fun. It's not sitting there, just talking. They do the Eucharist, and you get to meet a lot of interesting people.
And the pageantry.
Oh, the pageantry.
Amazing.
All right. Do we have any other people that are really interested in it?
do we need too?
Sydney?
I would be an alternate. Sydney said she could go, but I'll be an alternate if you need an alternate. I loved going this year. I really did. That was my first time ever going. And I went by myself, which unfortunately, that's not the best.
Right.
Fortunately, I have people in other churches that I knew that were there, but yeah, I think it's really important that we figure out a way to make sure that the person doesn't go by themselves in the future.
Right. Yep.
Just because that could be overwhelming.
Yeah.
For somebody who took a chance to go, yeah.
Yeah.
Not for Georgia, but not for Cindy probably too.
All right. Wonderful. Those will be our delegates. Do we approve it or? Okay. Motion to approve Georgia, Sydney for the delegates, and Amy as the alternate. Susan, second. Jeannie. All those in favor? Any opposed? Abstained? All right. Thank you very much for volunteering. Okay, so now we're done with those business items, and we have the report section. So I'll start off with the senior warden report. I'll keep it brief because I know you have your beautiful report that Cindy made again. She does such a wonderful job at those. I really want to highlight that Grace is who we are, not because of one person. There isn't one person that kind of brings it all together. 12 people contributed to this report. And I feel like when I look out, the majority of us are involved in one ministry, committee, something. It's an amazing community to be part of, that you can find your niche to helping out in different ways. And I feel like that's kind of why Grace has been moving forward so steadily. This year we did more community outreach. So we were the only church that participated in the spring fling, I think they called it, the Harvest Festival, and the San Marcos tree lighting. It's just having a booth there, but it's really, we have our picture. People know the church, but don't necessarily know what we're about. So we're able to reach out that way, which is nice. And then we also did the events on campus that weren't necessarily church related, with the Monarch Butterfly Festival. We did the Cookies Carol that brings people on that maybe wouldn't walk through the doors because they were intimidated by coming to church, but they have a chance to meet us and, you know, kind of feel the warm environment outside also. So I think that that's been a really great step that we took this year. In addition, we had the outreach committee that did something. I feel like once a month we had a program that was moving forward on outreach. So you can read about each of those programs that we did. And I know that there's plans to move forward to do the same moving into this year. And the children's ministry is the other thing that I'd really like to highlight, because we hadn't had it for a few years. And Pam and Janet have put so much time and thought into making it happen. And both as senior warden and as a parent, it's a huge thing to have that for the kids. I help as the door person, and so I get to like watch it. And, it's an amazing program. I think that the kids are really benefiting from it. I think that Pam and Janet are benefiting from it, like that they enjoy the ministry. So it's been a really great addition. So moving into next year, I'm going to stay on as senior warden. It's my third year. Really, I've served on a lot of different nonprofit organizations and boards, and there's not one like this where I don't feel like everything falls on me. I feel like I'm so supported by everybody, on vestry, of course, but also, through every ministry, people just are always willing to help. So just as one example, when we had Father Frank's anniversary last January, we had a group that got together that kind of made all the plans and made it happen. And we had a party, it was great. And everyone's, oh, Lena, thank you so much for everything that you did. And I came home and I told Victor, like I served on the PTO at Richland for a few years. And I said, with that, it was this much work and like this much thanks. And I'm like, I feel like it's really reversed here. Like, it has been such an honor to serve with everybody here. And I do look forward to another year. So with that, I'd like to invite Janet for the junior warden report.
I'm Jan Shannon, JANSCHATTMAN. I'm your junior warden. I will not read this report to you. I'll ask you just to look at it to see everything we've accomplished this year. Had the most successful mission statement ever. If you see something, say something, and you've done it, and you've brought so many things to my attention that we could actually get fixed, sometimes with the skills that are here in the congregation, and sometimes realizing that we need to hire someone to come and do it. It's been a wonderful time, and I appreciate all your help.
And Jan, thank you for all this time. It's a lot of dedication to make everything keep moving, and there's different committees and everything, and you've done a wonderful job as junior work. I do appreciate it.
Looking forward to on the board without friends.
Yes. Very true. Okay, next I'd like to call Father Lucas.
Father, could I say something before you?
Yes, go right ahead, please.
Well, I just want to report a random pastor acquaintance that happened to me this past week on Thursday. I was getting dark. Maybe I should turn this way so you can all hear my little song. it was getting dark on Thursday, and you know, all my neighbors, when they want to come talk to me, they phone me ahead of time, and I was reluctant to open my door. And I yelled, I looked at the people, and then I yelled, "Who is it, please?" It was Lena. She said, "This is Lena," and I thought, "Sure, Lena." And then the penny dropped, and she came in and visited with me for a while. And what can I say? I was totally choked up by what she said. And she brought me a dozen red roses. There she was standing at the door with this big bunch of red roses. And you know how much I love red roses. I think I've explained to the congregation how every anniversary, my husband always bought me a dozen red roses. And there she was with a dozen red roses for me. I just was so choked up. But you know, I want you to know that really made me feel like I was a part of the church. I belonged to something very special. And this is a very special church. I think we've heard that over and over and over again, but it is true. And you feel like you're one of the family when something like that happens. Lena came in and visited for a long time, and you know, I didn't really know Lena, even though she's head of the vestry and I'm in the vestry, but we had time to visit, and she is so, she's very special and in the right stuff. Thank you, Lena. Yeah.
I feel like I'm ending where I started my walk with Christ. I started with a very tight youth group at the age of about 13, 14. And it was that youth group that really introduced me to Christ and to my vocation. And you know, everything went from there. It was a transformation, what I talked about in my sermon. It was a transformative time in my life when it was hell at home. And it really was transformative. And I think back to the people who were there for me. I don't remember what we talked about. We had some amazing, we had a psychologist, a Capuchin priest, and a theologian as our leaders. I don't remember a single talk in all the years that we got together, but I remember their love. And I remember the transformation that they engendered in me and the growth. And I'm the only one out of the 50 or so that ended up becoming a priest. And I don't know, and now I get to finish my life with you all. I'm 64, you say, well, you're still young, you get a lot of years. Well, but I feel like this is the closing chapters of my life, and I want to spend them with you. And I'm so just privileged to spend them with you as your priest. And so thank you for allowing me to continue as your priest. And, I'm just thrilled about this place. And I echo your feelings as well. You're a wonderful congregation. I keep saying that to you, but it really is true. I'm so sorry that other churches right now, today, next week, when they have their annual meetings, they're facing budget cuts. And you know what it is to be in a marriage when you have when money isn't there, right? Lots of stress in marriages when there's not money. But we are secure financially right now. We're all going to be more financially secure down the road. So it's one of those great things about vestry is you don't have to go there and argue about money, okay? So don't worry about that. You're not going to be going there, and it's not going to be pulling your hair and trying to make a little budget cut here, budget cut there. We're comfortable, and that's good, and we're only going to be growing. Now, what we need to discover in terms of our growth is what our mission is. And as I talked about a couple of weeks ago, our mission versus the vision are different things. Mission is what we are doing. I think we've got some good clarity about what we're doing. This is what the vestry said last year, and I presented this to you a couple weeks ago, as to what you think. Our current mission statement is to know Christ and to make him known. Now, Margaret, we can pass out those 50, are those already passed out? Got them, great. And these are the other statements that were given to you that were given. Now, and these are the statements that you all made as we solicited you a couple of weeks ago about what you think our mission is. We came up with about 23 statements. To act with grace, I'm not going to read all of them to you. You can look at them yourself. And I'll show you the other ones as well. And the handout that you have, and I took it just off the internet. It was like the third, entry in there, about 50 most effective mission statements. They range from 2 words to 42 words. So what do you think about mission statements? Here's another group of ones that you guys all said. Some of these I think of are our values, what we espouse are important to us. What we're going to do now is we're going to wordsmith with a small group of people from the congregation. I will be inviting you to wordsmith and come up with based on what you've given us, come up with a statement of what our mission statement might be. It might be what we've been using for decades here, or it might be something different, okay? But here's what we have discovered. The best mission statements are clear, memorable, and concise. I would say 42 words is probably difficult to make that distinction. Best mission statements are simple, concise, easy to remember. They should encompass the global purpose of every church, which includes loving God, loving others, and outreach and discipleship. Mission statements are often much too long to remember. The average length of a church mission statement here that you have in front of you is 16.3 words, compared to the top 15.3 on top nonprofits, 50 example mission statements that you have there. The shortest mission statement contains only 2 words. That's in Calvary Chapel, Fort Lauderdale. The longest mission statement is 42 words, and that's Second Baptist Church in Houston. And a number of churches base their mission statements or vision statements around the Great Commandment, the Great Commission, which you find in number 50. But see the difference between Calvary Chapel, Florida, Fort Lauderdale, and Second Baptist Church, 50. So anywhere from 2 words to 42 words, but the shorter the mission statement we have, the better. Because it's something that you can then recite. It's easy to put on letterheads, business cards, and to be able to tell people when you're in an elevator for 10 seconds, I go to Grace Episcopal Church. Oh, what's your mission? Our mission is to know Christ and make him known. And there's another one, by the way, I think in Australia, who has a very similar one. I think it's number 13 or something like that. So I've given you those 50 effective mission statements. And that's all I wanted to make in terms of my presentation, because I spoke enough about that during my sermon. But I think the mission statement, then one next step will be the values, okay? And then our next step will have our strategy to get there. And then our measure, how we get there. And I think, was it Jeannie that you mentioned? Getting data. How do we know we've arrived? How do we know that we're doing our job? Is it just because my communion rail is taking me longer to get through communion? I noticed that today. I said, wow, I'm getting tired up here getting communion now. Do we have more people in church today? I guess we do. That's when I'm going to know that it's time for me to leave and time for you to hire a new priest. When you get to a certain point when it's just too much for me, for this retired old guy to just say, I can't do this anymore. Right? But is it going to be when you can't find your seat, and the place you usually sit, Edna, is being taken by somebody else? How will we know that we've arrived? Oh, we made it. Look, there's 100 people. We can seat 176. Is it because we've got 175? We need to close the doors now? Sorry, you need to come back to the next service, which will be at, 11:30. Is that how we'll know we've arrived? How will we know? Will it be in the transformation of people's lives? Will it be numbers, or will it be people who say, my life has been transformed as a part of being here, like my life has been? It's part of being your priest. Okay? So we're gonna look at that and we're gonna discuss that. Once we have those 4 squares, the 4 sides of the square, we're gonna have clarity about where we go a year from now, 3 to 5 years from now, 15 to 20 years from now. We'll get clarity about everything. Clarity changes everything, as I said. Okay. Well, that's all. I just wanted to just give you an example of what those mission statements are.
That was a good idea.
We will come back in a few weeks. I'm going to meet with these group of people and we're going to kind of wordsmith this and then present it to you and say, you can give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down on what you think, or go back to the drawing board and work on it some more. Okay? So, any questions? Okay, wonderful. Enjoy the day. It's a little wet outside.
One thing.
Oh, yes, oh, please, go ahead.
I got my part, remember?
Oh,
I always have to get in my quick announcement.
oh, I'm sorry.
You know me.
I think
Martha too.
Oh, we still have Martha too.
Oh, Martha,
Sorry.
first?
Yeah.
I thought it was last.
No, okay. So I passed everyone, I think I passed everyone one of these papers. If not, I can ask someone to help pass them out. It has a list of, like a checklist of items. So these are some ideas that you all came up with, including our kids. So I hope that our parents with kids will, anyway, we'll be collecting some more votes from them. So the idea is that we want to find out what people would actually like to do of these activities or others. So if that sounds like a fun thing, for example, if you read chili cook-off and that goes, yay, I'd love to do that. That sounds fun. Put a check mark. If there are 2 of you filling it out together, put a number 2 next to it so we can count it as 2. Now, that only takes us halfway there because in order to have an event, we need an organizer. So if that sounds like something you would like to organize, please circle the event. If you think, chili cook-off, I'd love to organize that, circle it. If we have a lot of people who would like to participate and no one who would like to organize it, that's not an event we'll do, right? Why would we have to ask Janet to organize another thing, right? Because it usually ends, or Georgia, you know, it usually, or Happy, or many of us, right? So what we want to do is we want you to have joy in the events that we do. So if it brings you joy to help organize that event, then like I'm thinking like the labyrinth, I would assume that Martha might circle that. But if she doesn't, then we know that maybe we need to look for somebody else who would like to do that, right? Or not do it. Because you can't just have Indians and no chiefs, right? But if you are a chief, please limit your circling to 5. All right? I don't want anyone to say, oh yeah, I'd like to organize that and that and that and that and that, because you know it comes from that, right? People feeling like they have too much to do and not having very much fun with it. So let's spread the joy of organization. If there's something that you don't see on the list, then please write it in other and make sure you check it or circle it if you put it down, right? Just a couple things that I would like you to know what they mean so that you can know if you'd be interested. Tech home visits was an idea that I thought of. Maybe if we had a few people who like technology, who would be willing to volunteer to help others with that technology in their homes, maybe we could organize a program of tech help visits, just an idea, totally don't have to check it if you don't like it. And the other one is, I think maybe some of you might not know what a progressive dinner and mixer is, but I think it is, maybe you do. But anyway, it's where you have dinner in various places and maybe you have people drive you from place to place so that people can drink if they want to and get home safely. And that's it. Yep.
I know what a progressive dinner is.
Okay.
My brother started one in England about at least a decade ago, at Christmas time. And they start off with appetizers at one house. Then the next house they have soup or maybe salad. And the next house they have the main course. And the next house they have the dessert. And just like you say, there's a couple of people that are driving that don't drink, but everybody else is a couple of them getting sloshed.
And
having a really good time.
Yeah, so it sounds like fun. I think it was maybe Larry and Susan, or Larry that came up with that idea. So there were a lot of great ideas, and some of the ideas could be incorporated under other ones. For example, like children or families of grace could do the Lego party, right? I was trying to encourage different groups to take on certain things. So if you want to make a note about something like that,
maybe Women of Grace would like to do the book club or something like that, then you can do that. And I will gather these this week and next week, and then we'll take a look at what we have and make some plans. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. And you can just pass it in. Mark, would you like to share the music instrument report?
All right, so I had plenty to write about in the report, so I'm just going to commend that. Please take it home and read it. And I just want to highlight a few things. One, when Lena asked me to write a report, she said, try to include some metrics so that we can, track numbers or whatever. And so I did include some, you'll see numbers in there, but the truth is I don't actually know how to calculate things like smiles, tears, toe tapping,
Laughter.
head bopping, laughter,
Children really bad.
the unabashed singing of our kids as they run around the house going, holy, 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 outside. And while they're riding their bikes around the parking lot, the people that I hear humming as they leave church, a hymn that wasn't necessarily the last one that we sang. All of that has such great meaning for me, and I think it's a metric by which I measure whether or not I'm doing the job God has given me to do. Just want to commend to you that 3 things. One, I started piano lessons when I was about 7 years old, and I didn't like them. I got my first guitar when I was like 9. It was a Christmas present. And I was allowed to upgrade from my little 3/4 size nylon string guitar to a full-size steel string guitar on one condition: that I play the Christmas carols for the family service that Christmas. Okay. I played until my fingers bled. They were so sore, but the sound was so beautiful, I had to keep going. That was 34 Christmases ago. And now it's my turn to welcome more kids in and say, here's an opportunity for you to do a Christmas carol or to play a trombone or brass, whatever. Let's bring it on. So that's a joy to me. And again, I don't quite know how to calculate. I can tell you how many people there were. I can tell you how many rehearsals we did. So that's just one thing I want to add to our metrics. And if you know people who need a little extra encouragement or whatever, let me know. I'll figure something out. And the second thing is to point out to you, this is going to be a little scary, but don't worry, we'll go through Mordor and end up in the Shire. Our hymnal, our blue hymnal, is called the Hymnal 1982. And the reason for that is because 1982 is the year that hymnal became ratified as the official hymnal of the Episcopal Church. Right, it is, and there are people who still refer to it as the new hymnal. The hymnal before that was ratified in 1940. So I'm just going to give you a second to do the math. 1940 to 1982. 1982 to what year are we now? 2023. Okay, so part of the reason why I'm always kind of pushing a little extra new song here and let's try changing this tune and putting it to different words there is to make sure that we've always got that muscle fairly limber, so that should someday the church decide we need a hymnal 2053 or whatever it is that it's going to take, that we don't go, I like the old one better. And just to give you an idea, before the 1940 hymnal, it was the 1916 hymnal, and before that it was the 1892 hymnal. So you can imagine the church going through changes like 1916, 1940, when they were either on the cusp of or in the middle of a world war. 1982, we've got a Cold War, and all kinds of changes were happening. But one of my favorite stories about the 1982 hymnal is when the Episcopal Church goes through a trial phase. So there's a standing committee at the national church level, and they say, it seems like it might be about time to look into a new prayer book, a new hymnal, a new whatever. So can we be authorized to do that? Great, off we go. And then a trial version comes out and they say, test it out, see what you think. What's missing? What do we need to add more of? And enough children, or enough people who were children growing up with the 1940 hymnal, saw that I Sing a Song of the Saints of God was missing from the trial version of the 1982 hymnal. That the National Church got thousands of letters. Don't take that hymn away from my children. Children wrote to the hymnal Standing Committee on Liturgy and Music and said, we love this one. It's something we can sing. And so it got put back in, even though there's some quirky English references to, meet them in shops or at tea and so forth, right? But we sing it with great gusto. And someday, Luca Aguilar's grandchildren will be looking back at, these hymns and going, oh my God, that old language, right? Anyway, so if there is something that you're working on spiritually, you're having a trouble with metaphor, like there's a song I really hate, but there's a song I really love, and I need, to hear more of it or less of it, depending on how you look at it, please let me know. I do take requests from the congregation seriously. I took Father Munoz's request that we not sing hymn number 671 ever again. When it comes up as an appropriate one, I go, I like the John. And what's super important to me is that I feel more music minister than music director. I'm not trying to sell tickets or get, my name or even Grace's name out there, but God's name. And to have it be that when people come here, they feel the love they needed. They get the song that they can sing, that they can walk out humming at the end of the service. So if you have struggles or joys, you need a new metaphor for something that might help or hinder you, let me know. I'll keep an eye out. Thanks. Yeah, sir.
So the day of technology with everyone eventually going to have a wristwatch that tells them blood pressure, heartbeat, and everything else.
Yep.
I think that we should think about that because every time you sing up there, I'm sure everybody's blood pressure goes down.
That's right, we could post it up as a metric on the live stream. Martha, thank you for everything you do. All
right, and last we have a communication report from Cindy.
Oh, wait a minute. Make sure I'm on camera. Okay.
Okay, let's see if I can get through this without coughing. I'm not going to go over the report because it's all there, but one of the, what I do want to say is that the new website is done. For those of you who don't know, our website, actually our website's not that old. It's only 2 years old, but we paid somebody a lot of money to do it and he bagged on us right at the pandemic. He worked at IT and he just got so busy and it was just so hard to get a hold of him. But the problem with the website was that he did it in WordPress. I don't do WordPress. I hate WordPress. WordPress is one of those things, it's like Adobe software. I can go into Photoshop because I have a lot of training and I can do things, but if you went into Photoshop, you would be so confused. That's me with WordPress. And I don't want to learn it, truthfully. But the thing is when we got Realm, one of the things that was part of Realm was free website. And that's the other thing too, is we will not have to pay for hosting websites from now on. We're with GoDaddy and we pay them a hefty amount of money every year to host our website. We don't have to do that anymore. It took a while to do the website because I had it half built and then we accidentally deleted it. Yeah, so I had to rebuild it again. And it wasn't hard because, they use templates and all that stuff, but It is finished. I will be switching over, I have to switch over the domain name so that it goes to Realm. And then we'll do Lena and I will QA it and make sure there's nothing missing and all that stuff. If you see something that you would like on the website or wherever, let me know. The other thing is that I do is social media. And our social media has gone through the roof basically this year. We've had a lot of likes, we've had a lot of reaches. I won't go over the all the matrix, but I can, one thing that's nice about our accounts is that we can, for the reports that they want to do, I can do matrix for monthly matrix, so we know. But I've increased a lot of our posts and all that stuff. What's really nice though is the diocese has picked up a lot of our posts. They like our photography, and I'm not the only photographer, but they like what we post and they like the memes that we post. And I've actually had on Instagram, I've actually had other churches contact me and ask if they could borrow a meme that I put up about the one about being late to church, the time change. A couple churches borrowed it. And the other thing is we are going to increase our presence because, like I said, we have a budget this year for publicity. So we're going to try and increase our output. And we do have a marketing committee that we have started. And if you are interested in being on the marketing committee, please let me know. What we're going to do is support the events. That's our job. It's not our job to do the events, but to support it and get as much publicity out there as possible via social media and other ways. I did put some little stats about what was the best and you know, the different accounts, but we have had 179% increase on likes and whatnot on Instagram. That's amazing. I do try to be careful. I know who and who does not like to be on social media, their faces and all that stuff. So I'm always careful about that, and especially the children. The only children that I ever put on social media are the ones that I've already got permission from the parents. And but if there, and also too, if you've got a photo or something that you would like to share to our Facebook page or to our Instagram page, then by all means, forward it to me. I've put a lot of pictures up that people have sent to me. The other thing is regarding communications. If you have an event and you don't let me know, you're not going to be in the Grace Notes. I have to, communications email, whenever you have an event or anything, please forward the information to the communications email. Then I will make sure that it gets put in the electronic Grace Notes, the printed Grace Notes, and it's put on social media if need be, or if we need to do a Facebook ad or something like that. But I should be one of your first contacts, okay? And then I will make sure that Judy has the information, that we have the information for all the Grace Notes and everything. The last thing is, I would like for us to start a TikTok account. TikTok there's a lot of controversy with TikTok, and I will tell you the controversy is the fact that there's data mining. Now, everybody does data mining. You go to the grocery store and you buy something, you've been data mined. Data mining is very big. Now, the thing about TikTok is there may be, and it hasn't been proven yet, that because it's a Chinese company, that the Chinese government might be data mining. The phone, the person that owns the phone, that's me. I've already been data mined. I'm already on TikTok. So it's not like if we have a video that's on TikTok, it's just the fact that the algorithms of my readership of what I'm watching on TikTok is what gets data mined. And the reason that the FBI came out with that was the fact that they wanted to make sure that people that have a government phone do not have TikTok app, okay? It does not affect the average person. I don't think the Chinese government really cares about my videos that I put up about the cat. But the reason that and I was asked by the diocese that we should have a TikTok account. And the Episcopal Church itself has a TikTok account, and a lot of priests and churches are on TikTok. And the reason that they're on TikTok is because TikTok has become the place for marginalized people. A lot of your LGBTQ plus people are on TikTok. A lot of people that have been hurt by churches are on TikTok, telling their stories. So what's happened is a lot of progressive clergy from the Episcopal Church, the Lutheran Church, and other churches that were considered progressive churches, they are now on TikTok, spreading the word of God, that not all churches are like this. There are people here that love you. And so that is one of the reasons why the Episcopal Church is on TikTok. It's why the Lutheran Church is on TikTok, why the Presbyterian Church is on TikTok, why a lot of these. What I want to do, a lot of them are individual priest accounts. What I would like to do is just have a fun account where we have videos of us having fun. It's just to let people know that Grace is here, Grace has fun, we're a family. Things like the video that I took of the video I posted on social media of the caroling, something like that. Nothing controversial, or just us having fun. I personally have a TikTok account that I do genealogy, and I also have my business on TikTok. And I've actually, because of that, I have gotten a lot of business because I have a TikTok account. Anyway, but that's something I would like to do in the future. I'm going to take my time about it because I want to have a build-up of videos but it was, when I went to the communications meeting at the diocese, that was one of the things that they were talking about, getting the local churches to get a TikTok account. So, are there any questions? Yes, sir.
So, with all these churches interested in it, is that because they look at it as a way to harvest people?
Well, it's...
What's the point of sharing, other than the fact that you're sharing it, what we're doing to as big a community as possible? Is that the main point?
It has been, there have been situations where people have, in the comments, that they've said, I really like your message, where is your church? There have been, like this one pastor that I follow who's Lutheran, he has talked about gaychurch.org, finding a church there, and which we are actually a member of. So they've given information to say, here, this is where you can find a local church. But the main thing is there's a high suicide rate amongst LGBTQ plus people. And we're trying to, the pastors and the priests on TikTok are trying to stem that. And they're trying to help the community, help that community. And hopefully they will find their way back to the church. Because a lot of these people have left the church because of the way they were treated in, fundamentalist churches and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like, and that is where the young people are, is on TikTok. They're not on Facebook. They're not on Instagram. They're on TikTok. So it's a way to reach out and hopefully help these people. If they end up in our church, fantastic. But it's just a way to kind of help. Yes?
It's evangelism.
It's evangelism. Yes, it's evangelism.
It is.
So, if the point of having TikTok is to be progressive, reach out to these outcasted people from the stricter Catholic churches, why would it be want to be not necessarily controversial, but show our diversity, right?
We could.
Our cultures, my children are Hispanic, which is my wife's upbringing. She was amazed by our church and loves our church because of the strict Catholic church she grew up in, and she hated that.
Right.
I just like that in my parochial, Jesuit high school as well. So why wouldn't we want to be, if we're targeting these types of people, not targeting, but right, reaching out to these types of people. If we're gonna make TikTok, why don't we make it as that part of diversity, not just people having fun, you know? Hey, white guy Nick, you know, this Caucasian guy like at his church, right? Why don't we show that we had a woman pastor?
We can.
You know, these are the things that if we're gonna reach out to those people and we're gonna get to younger people, just pictures of us having fun in church, you know, they don't want to see that, right? And say, hey, you know, this church does have that diversity. It is okay in church, you know. I think that would be, you know, not controversial, but like, you know, show that we're welcoming.
Cindy, I would think that, like, you mentioned the marketing committee, that's absolutely the work of the marketing committee. That's not the work of the whole church, I don't think, right? So I would think that would be like, we would talk about how we want to be presented and all that in the marketing, and then we would come up with a proposal for the vestry and, you know.
Right.
But that's.
I was just at the beginning, I was thinking of doing a bank of videos of just, so I have something to put up when I first started. And then, you know, then the committee could decide what we're going to show, and then we'd have to have volunteers if we wanted to have people be in the video. But that's, you know, at first, I just wanted to have some videos to kind of show the church. And I actually have one video that I have put up on my one of, I did a tour of the church. And I did a tour of the outside and I did a tour of the inside. And I did that as on my genealogy page just for fun. So.
I'm sorry to call this short, but Lacey is waiting to get in.
Okay, so I'm done. I'm done.
Don't forget to give me your checklist.
All right, we'll just close out our meeting with the prayer.
Bless us, Lord, bring us safely home to our homes, and thank you for being with us during this meeting. Amen.
Amen.
Yes.